Hi, fellow tea lovers. Settle in, because we've got a story. I'm Nell.
And I'm Rose, and today we're bringing you the tea.
Across eras.
Hey y'all, what's happening?
Happy Monday.
It is, it's a Monday for us. It's in the future for you, so that's kind of cool. Spooky. Being that it is Monday, we just watched the last episode of season 3 of The Gilded Age. We're not going to give any spoilers though, so don't worry.
Yeah, no, for something this recent, we will respect the spoiler rule.
Of course. It's just letting you know that it's been on my mind, and we're going to talk about some things about the general Gilded Age.
It is a deeply interesting era and deserves much scrutiny.
The rules are really what's killing me.
Well, yeah, because we impose those rules on ourselves and then we fear breaking them. It's the same kind of circles we spin ourselves in now, just for different motivations.
Yeah, just the rules of like how to live, how to dress, how to walk, who to be seen with.
And I guess in a certain way it creates stability because we're used to
That's true.
getting stability from other things, from easy availability of information or quick ability to change our motivations.
Yeah.
Where you're living in much longer arcs without quick communication and quick information.
Oh, yeah.
So it does create a sense of stability. I mean, that's why people do set up these rules for themselves in the beginning.
Yeah, and your well-mannered society. For example, let's say that you are bored and you want to go visit your friend down the street.
Mhm.
I'm going to say you're 15. Okay. What do? Do you just go visit her?
As a 90s child, Mom, I'm going to Allie's house, and then walk as far as the cordless phone will allow me while still speaking to her on the phone until about the end of the block where the service petered out, but then I would just take the phone with me to her house. It was a source of endless frustration for my parents.
Girl, there were other phones in the house, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just had the good one.
Yeah, of course. I got you. Okay, so if you're a Gilded Age 15-year-old, maybe if they're your super duper best friend, you get to, but generally you have to wait until calling hours. So let's play Gilded Age pop quiz, and this would be Gilded Age time frame, of course.
Okay.
Okay, true or false? A respectable unmarried young woman can attend the opera alone in the Gilded Age only if she is in a private box.
No, ma'am, you still have to have at least a lady chaperone, somebody preferably that knows your mother.
Indeed. If you were going to pay a call on another lady, how long would you be expected to stay?
Probably at least an hour.
That is one of the options, D, an hour. So you've got A, 5 minutes, B, 10 to 15 minutes, C, 30 minutes, D, an hour.
Yeah, I would say an hour.
It's actually 10 to 15 minutes.
Really?
Any longer and you're monopolizing the hostess time.
Oh, yeah, because if you're a very social creature, you have many people dropping cards. You got to make time.
Yeah, and your visiting hours are limited. Oh, here's a good one. This is also multiple choice. Afternoon carriage rides through Central Park or along Bellevue Avenue were mostly for A, exercise and fresh air, B, being seen and displaying one's wealth, C, picking up friends, or D, avoiding paying social calls.
Clearly for displaying one's wealth. Because I mean, how are you going to show off if it isn't party season or if there doesn't happen to be a convenient party around? That's not the only time people are interacting with each other.
Exactly.
But, I mean, a genteel person doesn't have a whole lot of official places that they need to go, and the official places have their own uniform.
Yep.
That's not showing.
They sure do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like this one. What kind of dress would a young woman wear in the morning for social calls? A, an evening gown. B, a tailored walking suit or high-necked day dress. C, a tea gown without a corset. Or D, a ball gown with a train.
See, now that's an interesting one because I'd be inclined to say tea gown just because they are pretty accurate with their labeling, but not wearing a corset out of the house seems suspect to me because and it has to be said corsets at this point were not corsets the way that we think of them. The whole foot in the back thing is actually that only became possible when metal eyelets were invented.
Yep.
So before then, the corsets didn't have the kind of strength of material to support that. So it was more often called stays and just had the same function but didn't look the same as we assume.
Yep. And in this case, it's kind of a trick question because you really aren't going to pay a whole lot of visits in the morning, maybe to your closer family members or friends if you
Right.
really need something.
You would know the people better.
Yeah. And I thought of Marion in Gilded Age, what she wears.
Mhm.
And it's that tailored walking suit or
Yep.
high-necked day dress.
Yeah, because that's what you're actually leaving the house in. A
Yeah.
tea gown is more like what Ada wears,
Yeah.
which is looser and more comfortable for repose.
Yeah.
But
For laying around the house.
for Lady of Leisure Time.
Okay, let's see. I have a few more fun ones.
Mhm.
You receive an invitation marked RSVP. How quickly must you reply? A, 24 hours. B, 3 days. C, by the week before the event. D, only if you plan to attend.
I would say week before the event because they definitely can't do it within 24 hours. That's just not analog possible. Yeah, a week before the event gives people time to plan their seating arrangements and how much food they're ordering. You do have to order things a lot further ahead.
Yeah.
The icebox is only so big.
Did you know the expectation was 24 hours?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I was
Prompt
completely wrong.
replies. You decided and you sent your person to deliver it.
No kidding.
Prompt replies were considered a mark of good breeding.
Wow. I would not have survived in Gilded Age society, but I think we already knew that.
It's the same with thank you notes, although you did have up to 48 hours.
That makes sense.
Yeah, especially you go to like an 8 p.m. dinner party, and then there's the ball, and then there's like breakfast, and then you get home and you need to sleep a little before you write that thank you note.
Plus, a thank you note, I feel like the expectation is that it will be more heartfelt, thus better thought through.
Yeah,
You gotta give people time for that.
yeah. Okay. At a formal afternoon tea, when should you remove your gloves? A, immediately upon entering. B, only when taking food or tea. C, not at all. Or D, when seated.
I would say immediately upon entering because gloves, they feel very much like an outdoor accessory.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only time you're really wearing gloves indoors that I'm familiar with is like at the opera.
And I think if you're going to like a tea at your friend's house, maybe you would dress in gloves. No diamonds.
But like at the ball in Gilded Age, there were many people wearing gloves.
Yeah.
So
This was a formal afternoon tea.
okay, see, formal kind of feels like gloves on. I don't know, what was the answer?
Gloves stayed on unless eating or drinking. However, if you were at a seated meal, you removed them immediately.
Okay.
Yeah, you just took them off.
All right, that's hard to remember.
Tell me about it. See, what's another good one? You're a guest at a dinner party. Conversation at the end of your table lags. Do you, A, speak loudly so the entire table can join? That's no, just no.
I'm gonna go with no.
B, address your remarks across the table to someone 2 seats away. C, revive the conversation with your immediate neighbors only. D, engage the servant in friendly chatter.
Oh no. Yeah, no. Engage the person right next to you and just sort of revel in the fact that you have the best section of conversation at the table. There's
Yes.
nothing you can do about the rest of the table. That's the hostess's problem.
Dinner conversation was local with your immediate neighbors.
Mhm.
So that's why you see these tables with these centerpieces that you cannot see over, but that's
It
fine.
doesn't matter. You're not meant to.
Yeah.
And that's why very careful seating placements were such a huge deal because you're orchestrating what you hope will be sparkling conversation.
Yes, exactly. All right, let me see. One more. True or false? When walking with a gentleman in public, a young lady should always take his arm, even in daylight.
I do feel like that's true. I don't know. It seems very presumptuous, but the whole like I'm escorting you thing, I think comes arm in arm.
I know, I agree with you, but it says
no,
that
isn't it?
in daylight, a lady generally walked beside a gentleman. She would take his arm, though, in the evening or specifically for assistance.
Okay, I guess that sort of makes sense, but they're not going to be like judged for being arm in arm during the day. I guess it's just not required, right?
Right, and I assume they're like engaged and a chaperone's behind them at that
Right.
point.
He's already talked to her uncle and her 5 brothers, and
Right, right.
clearly.
So thank you for playing my game. So the basis of this episode was what in the world did a young lady of society do all day? Whether she was 10 or 15, like what are you doing? Just what are you doing?
1883 is when it starts.
Yes.
I mean, this is Victorian era, and this is when childhood as a concept really kind of becomes more of a separated thing for English speaking society.
Yep.
Because beforehand they were, children were just considered tiny adults that hadn't had the experience that they needed to be adults yet, basically. I mean, just
Yes.
short
Yes.
version. Victorian childhood is where we get a lot of our childhood tropes, like the big bow and the sailor suit and
Yep.
fairy tales that aren't meant to scare the pants off you. That's pretty new at this
Yeah.
point.
So if you were a society lady, you would need to master at least one of the accomplishments. You're probably going to have to learn most of them.
That's accomplishment with a capital A.
Yes, it is the accomplishments. Yeah. So we've got music. Maybe you're going to play the piano, harp, violin.
Very respectable.
Yeah, all good choices. You might be playing the piano for a private event like, your mom's dinner party afterwards.
Interestingly, you couldn't be a professional musician and still have that be a respectable activity. It
Absolutely
definitely
not.
has to be for fun and leisure. And you're mostly going to be showing that off in your home or other people's homes. Nobody's
Yes.
booking Carnegie Hall for the debutante.
No. And I believe at this point we're a little bit past the you can't draw a paycheck point because that was with the Royals, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. No, but you could get a job as a one. You still had very, very limited options,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
it was not as unheard of.
Yeah, okay. So you also are going to need to learn another language. You definitely probably need to learn French. Italian was also fashionable at the time. You also needed to learn some languages. French, definitely, because if you are a society lady, you could meet someone from France or you could go to France, and we'll talk about that.
Plus, you might want to eventually communicate with your highly fashionable French chef.
Yes. If you learned German or Spanish, that would show, you're pretty cosmopolitan, you know what's up. Now, if you weren't going to be a passable artist, you would better at least be able to speak very knowledgeably about art and artists.
You did not have to be a good artist to
No.
be a society appreciator.
Yeah.
And what's funny, I love when they show people that don't fit into the old society as lovers of people that we now understand to be very good artists. I think that's a fun trope. It was in Titanic when Rose is collecting all the Picassos.
Yep.
And they're like, well, I don't know if this Picasso's ever going to take off. And he's,
And Ever After.
And ever after Da Vinci's cast off portraits. So what is her name? Mrs. Chamberlain? The lady no one's supposed to talk to that helps Marion almost run off with the lawyer.
Yes, I
do it, girl.
believe that was her.
Yeah, so when Marion encounters Mrs. Chamberlain's house and she has all of the Degas and the Rodins, it's the same thing. She's broken with society traditions and thus has a clearer view. And they use the art to show that really well.
And it allows Marion, to be conversational about the art, like recognizing, I don't remember what she recognized, but something. And it's a good dinner conversation topic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Same with literature. You needed to know some classics, some poetry.
Literature's harder because that becomes controversial very quickly. It's still a great genteel society topic, but
Yes.
people have opinions.
Yeah.
Did you read Madame Bovary?
And of course, if you're a society lady in the Gilded Age, you don't have opinions. You've just read them. And then, of course, the dancing.
Yes.
They all look like they've been dancing since, birth.
And it's funny because the waltz that is, the standard at all of these parties, when it came out, was considered quite scandalous.
Ooh.
Because waltzing is touching. Waltzing is your hands all over each other rather than the traditional, like, folky line dancing that had been dancing for fancy people since forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ended up becoming the safe traditional dance that everybody thinks is boring now.
That's so interesting.
Hot and scandalous.
I have to say, if you watch Dancing with the Stars, I started watching it a few years ago. Some of those dances, they're anything but boring.
And I gotta say, I'm a little worried about Tom Bergeron. It has to be a joke that I'm maybe just not in on because I don't watch the show. But there's a thing on HBO, I think, for Dancing with the Sharks. I'm worried about him. That's not just jumping the shark, that's literally dancing with it. What y'all doing?
Yeah, I have not watched that. What is he doing? Also, my favorite word, quadrille.
Love a good quadrille. It always makes me think of lobsters because of Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, ma'am. You also had to have good social skills, right? You had to be able to keep up a conversation, never controversial, just light, fluffy, witty, and cultured.
Well, and that's the dream, but that's not going to be every single person that you come across in
Nope.
society.
This one I really went deep into. The hosting etiquette, overseeing the servants, planning your menus, and basically orchestrating a whole entire event for everyone else to see. And it all has to be timed like perfectly well.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's got to teach your servants how to all swoosh into the room at the same time with their chocolate cake on a platter for each person or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
If you'd like it to be a certain way, you have to be able to show it.
I found a blog that has what they say is a actual menu from one of Mrs. Astor's balls.
Oh, I love
This
these.
particular one was the 1897 Astor Ball Midnight Supper menu. And this is a formal midnight supper served after the dinner. What does that mean?
Okay, so I think what that means is that because the dinner precedes the ball, and it's sort of for your favorite guests. You never invite as many people to the dinner before the ball as you do to the ball. You invite everyone to the ball, and then the people that you really like, possibly bigger number or small. I don't actually know what the number difference would be for the midnight dinner, but those are sort of the ones that are in favor of the house.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it would be friends and family dinner, formal midnight supper,
Mm-hmm.
and then your cotillion or your ball. All right, so for your hot dishes, I'm not even going to try to pronounce some of these. I will let Rose try. A soup that's basically a clear, refined broth with elegant garnish, pronounced,
Ah, consommé à la princessa.
that's what it is. Turtle soup. Boo.
Turtle soup is apparently very delicious.
I've heard that, and I've been in very fancy restaurants in New Orleans where it is on the menu, but I lived in Hawaii and I know that sea turtles cry when you cut their heads off.
Oh my Lord, I didn't know that. I mean, I've never tried turtle soup, but
Google pictures.
oh no.
Don't really, y'all.
No.
It's quite traumatic. So
No.
I do not eat any sort of turtle soup.
Okay, that's fair.
One
I-
time the waiter told my friend, they're kind of joking around about it, and she was like, "Where do you get your turtles?" And he's like, "I don't know, the canal." Yeah, it wasn't
Oh,
funny to
that's not
me.
what you want to hear.
No.
What I was going to say is that it's apparently really delicious, but it's also apparently so hideous that there were mutinies on ships where they had eaten too much turtle because it was the only thing they could catch because they weren't eating that ugly crap anymore.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah, it's not anything I want to ever try.
no.
The next one would be like your beef fillet with fresh mushrooms and truffles. So fresh mushrooms and fresh fancier mushrooms. And then a roast canvasback duck.
Interesting. What makes them canvas backed? Is that part of the cooking process or is that the type of duck?
So a canvasback is a type of duck. It's a big,
Okay.
fast flying duck.
Mm-hmm.
It's apparently a duck people like to shoot, but it does lack a little flavor. It's apparently dark and coarse. So
It being a game meat totally makes sense though, because it's probably an opportunity for any of the hunters in the crowd to have shown off.
yeah. Then we have our salads and savories. So a popular salad was basically celery and lettuce salad.
Mm-hmm.
I hate celery.
I don't mind it raw, but I
Oh.
doubt it was.
I mind it raw. And then, you have your assortment of delicate sandwiches.
It's interesting too that it gets lighter as it gets into the later courses, which of course is very smart, but we do it completely backwards now.
Yeah, we do. Because all of this, I believe, is French style.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you have your desserts and sweets. So you get ice creams, fancy ices that were like styled or shaped were super popular.
Ooh, ice sculptures are so much more of a statement in the 1880s.
Yeah.
Again, somebody has to have cut it off of an ice lake and stored it.
Also, this sounds really good. We need to add this to the list of things we're going to make/try.
Mm-hmm.
These cookies. It says frozen biscuit style dessert, so I'm assuming that means cookie style
Okay.
dessert.
Yeah.
And tortoni, which is definitely a word I know, being a rich icy cream.
Ooh.
I
That doesn't
know.
sound familiar, but it sounds delicious, and I am fine with adding that to the list.
Here we have a fruit medley and jelly, so they're still slapping stuff in jello.
Mm-hmm.
You would get like a French style molded dessert called the Charlotte Parisienne. And then, of course, you'd have your beverages, coffee, champagne, a wine-based punch called is it a claret or a claret cup?
Claret cup, I think.
Claret cup, lemonade, and then Poland water. which
Ooh.
was the chic carbonated mineral water of the era.
Oh, interesting. Is this
Yes.
when the fizzy water becomes the fancy?
Well, if it was being served at your midnight ball,
Everything's fancy if it's served at the midnight ball.
this is my favorite part. I tried to piece together the rules of social calling.
Because it makes no sense. You leave a card or you don't leave a card, somebody can say they're home, and you're really just supposed to believe them, except for everybody else is going into the house, and that creates a kerfluff. Like, how do you deal with the kerfluff?
You don't rise to it. That's pretty much the answer for everything.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
pretend nothing happened.
Yep. All right. So the rules were so for real that by foregoing them, you could risk like being basically shunned from society.
Hmm.
So calling was a formal practice of visiting friends or your acquaintances or whatever.
Mhm.
Also for making new introductions, maintaining and adding to your like social relationships.
I mean, I assume in order to even try to call, you would have had to be introduced already. Am I right?
You most definitely should be.
Hmm.
You don't talk to anyone without an introduction.
Yeah, you can't just walk up to man on the street.
One of the questions that I didn't give you in my quiz was, if you're at the opera and you see a friend from school at the opera in a next box, are you allowed to like make eye contact and wave? No. You ignore each other until you get a formal invitation.
Interesting, because I would have said yes. That's one of the funny things about opera is because it's wrapped up into these crazy social rules, many of which involve sitting still and being quiet.
Yes.
Because opera's origins are as loud and as raucous as theater's origins.
Yeah.
People walking around and yelling, ice cream for sale, I'll have 3 of those. Hey, Larry, how are the kids? That's just normal in opera, and the fact that that got tamped down is weird.
All right. So the calling card, your calling card is super important. So here's how it works. They were basically like your social passport.
Mm-hmm.
You needed them. So every lady and most gentlemen, of course, were going to have an engraved calling card, usually just their name in a nice script.
Otherwise known as a carte de visite.
There you go. Your card was, usually you had a little card case, a special card case, and you tended to present them in person, or you could have it via a servant, like, oh, take them this letter and leave my card kind of thing.
Yeah.
Folded corners of your cards conveyed messages.
Really?
If your upper right corner is folded, it is a personal call rather than a more formal call.
Huh.
If the upper left is folded, that is a congratulations. If your bottom left is folded, condolences. And your bottom right is like you're taking leave or moving away. Maybe leaving for the season. I don't know how it works.
That is so interesting.
Right.
It's like the fan languages.
Yep.
Ooh.
So there's an order to all of this too, right? Lower ranks call on higher ranks first.
Okay.
So if you're new in society, Ms. Zaster is not going to come visit you.
Oh, yeah. You have to go pay your respects to
You're going to
everyone
get an
of the
invitation to go.
tiers.
Yes. And the higher status person could then return the call if they wanted to acknowledge your existence or not.
If not, you don't exist.
Exactly. And you also had at-home days, and those are usually kind of set days where you receive your visitors. And they're announced in printed invitations.
Because it's not like you can call and see if somebody is available.
Right.
It has to be much more planned out.
I wonder if it's like a monthly thing. Like, all right, this month on Tuesdays and Thursdays, if you could just print up an invitation to let the neighborhood know that I'll be taking calls between 3 and 5.
Yeah, it's like a social office
Actually, I
hours.
think call timing is already specific. So in your at-home days, you only visited on that day, unless you had special permission.
Yeah,
Right.
if somebody has had the courtesy to publish their at-home social office hours, then it behooves you to keep to them.
Exactly. And gentlemen generally only make calls in the afternoons, and obviously unmarried ladies do not receive male callers without a chaperone.
Yeah, the guys probably do the afternoon because they're allowed to go out drinking.
Yep. Afternoon visiting hours tended to be 3 to 5.
Reasonable. Then you
Yeah.
have time to go home and get dressed for dinner.
Yeah. And your social call needed not last more than 20 minutes ever, just long enough for polite conversation without oversaying you're welcome.
Honestly, that's kind of handy. There are many people that I would like to spend many hours with, but sometimes it would be nice to check in with people and then move on.
Indeed. If you arrived outside the set hours, that was obviously very rude, unless you're making a condolences visit.
Yeah, no, that's outside of the rules anyway.
Right. And if someone visits you, etiquette says you have to return the call within 1 to 2 weeks. So if someone visits you and you're like, oh, I like them, then you're going to go visit them within the next 2 weeks. And if you don't, that is subtly ending your acquaintanceship.
Yeah, after 2 weeks, you've accidentally ended the friendship.
Right. Basically, if you
Maybe
don't
screwed.
return a call, I know,
Hmm.
it would be a silent way of being like, you're not in my circle.
Mm-hmm.
So for a ball, reception, wedding, a really big formal social event, guests were expected to call on the hostess within a week to express appreciation.
Oh, that's what all of those little pre-sit-down meetings were. Oh, that makes more sense.
However, often your hostess wouldn't be at home,
Well, yeah, she's
in
planning the
air
thing.
quotes,
Ah, ha ha ha.
but your servant would take the card as proof of your visit.
Yeah, that's also a handy thing. You have physical proof of I tried.
Exactly. A lady deep in mourning usually did not receive any calls. Her friends might still leave her cards. And then, like we kind of mentioned earlier, new arrivals had to go out first.
Okay.
So I guess first you had to like join a club or run into your neighbor outside. I don't know.
Your entree, if you're not having like a formal presentation to society, it really depends.
Right. Also, you got to use your servants as gatekeepers.
Yes.
If the hostess is not at home,
Mhm.
that's just code for choosing not to receive you.
Mhm.
And they'll take your card. Like they've said in
Sure.
half of the Gilded Age episodes,
Yeah.
you're like, yes, you may leave your card. So calling wasn't even like about friendship so much as it was like a vetting process.
It's
and
networking.
yeah, it's networking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I need a favor kind of thing. I found all that super interesting, but now jumping back into like what the lady does during the day, you also have to be able to make small talk across all classes.
Being able to converse with your servants is extraordinarily important because you're
yeah.
running the household. Being able to converse with your social betters is extremely important because you're trying to become them.
Of course.
So you have to navigate both with equal grace if you're going to have any kind of success.
Yeah, totally.
Many people did not.
If you're a lady of really great standing also, then you might get to make your European travel tour. And
The grand tour.
Your grand tour. It was specifically kind of like to pimp you out, to be honest.
Mhm.
But also, you were supposed to start to learn like some of the opera houses, museums around Europe. You needed to know about the Louvre and the Met, of course, that's in New York. And then I know nothing about art museums, so this was new to me. Uffizi?
The Uffizi.
The Uffizi, which I looked up, found out is in Florence and where the birth of Venice is housed. No big deal.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was really pretty.
We stood in line for 5 hours and I have stood in front of the birth of Venus and it was one of the best moments of my life and it's huge.
Okay, I was just about to say, what size is it?
Gigantic, an entire wall.
So this got me thinking, like, where are they staying when they're on these tours, right? Because I know from watching historical shows, the best thing to do seems to be to get an invitation to stay in the home of a well-connected person.
Yes, and that is the preference, being invited to stay at someone's villa.
Yes. But even at the time, they still had very luxury hotels, you know, in London and Paris, Rome, all over. Your luxury hotels always had English-speaking staff and connections to social events.
Yeah, tourism is actually a whole lot older than we give it credit for. Tony Parate wrote a couple of really great, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He wrote a couple of really great histories of tourism. And my favorite was the Sinner's Grand Tour, which kind of covers this time period. And there were things on offer during those travels that were not necessarily genteel, but it was easier to go and see those things when you're on your travels.
Yes.
And there's some doozies. Many museums actually have secret rooms where all the good stuff is. But we'll talk about that later.
The Bridgerton brothers joke about that in
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Bridgerton,
Nice.
yeah. And of course, like we were just saying, the private residences, if you could get a well-connected aristocratic host, score.
But you you could still tour a lot of the houses, and that
Yeah.
has a lot that has a deep history. You know, even in England, you could go and tour the manor houses if the master wasn't home. Like, that was an established thing for the middle classes to be able to do.
That's cool. You might have family, you might have friends abroad. If you were staying with like a duke or a countess, you were like already in the right circles.
Absolutely.
Everybody was like, yes, her. And I totally agree with the tourism thing because I didn't even think about this being a thing. Seasonal resorts and spas. I can't pronounce any of these things, so I'm going to show you my notes on them.
You're going to take in the waters. I think I've heard of all of these. Yeah.
I will put all my accent into Spanish.
So many popular destinations for the seasonal resorts and spas were Biarritz in France, summer beach resort for royalty, Baden-Baden in Germany, spa town for gambling and socializing, Cannes and Nice, off-season playground for the aristocracy, and Interlaken, mountain scenery plus elite company.
Yes, and that one's in Switzerland. So yeah, you have lots of choices. And then your trip across is definitely a luxury ocean liner.
It's its own separate chunk of the trip.
Yeah.
You're Titanicing up.
Yeah, it's not like getting on an airplane in your sweatpants because you're going to get off in 6 hours.
Yeah, no, that's an event. You're going to be there long enough to see people, meet people, talk to people, and have to deal with that etiquette.
Yes, and it's probably different. So then I had to ask my favorite question. What did this cost? Like, what is a grand tour costing? So I'm going to tell you all of this in like current American dollars, okay? First class ocean liner ticket round trip, 10 to 17,000. If you're staying in a hotel in Europe, it's going to be between 275 and 500 a day.
And these are in modern US dollars.
Yes, this is modern US
Thank you.
dollars. Sorry if I didn't say that. You're going to have your private carriage hire, and that also might, hire them out to do some sightseeing or whatever's. That could be up to 200 a day. Obviously, you need clothing that consists of your travel wardrobe, your party wardrobe. You aren't wearing the same dress twice. That could be anywhere from $17,000 to $34,000. You're also going to be bringing your servants along with you, so their wages, which those are part of the normal household expenses,
Right.
but also for the trip, 10 to 17,000 for the trip.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you've got like shopping, theater, incidentals.
You're still on vacation.
Exactly. So your minimum budget would probably be $200,000. However, if you were rich, you could do the showstopper tour with super heavy shopping because a lot of aristocratic people. That would be a year. That could be $500,000 and up.
That's real royalty leisure.
Right. And like we were just saying, it's not just travel, it is a wealth statement.
Yeah, you are showing the world just exactly how fancy you can be.
Right? The young lady of the time also had to be fashionable. There were 3 big Paris fashion houses. I'm going to just butcher these. Worth, Doucet, and Paquin. Those were the 3 big houses that you wanted to visit in Paris. They were status symbols.
Everything is still bespoke and tailored, so you're going to the best tailors.
The House of Worth, that was founded by an Englishman living in Paris, and he is called the father of haute couture. He also introduced the concept of a live model and used his own labels inside the garments.
Oh, how gauche.
I know. He dressed Queen Victoria.
Wow. Wow, I didn't know that.
Me neither. He dressed, and I don't really know who this person is, but Empress Eugenie of France.
Empress Eugenie was one of the Napoleonic wives, not Napoleon III. There were actually quite a few weird dynastic things going on in France at this point. But so her social cred was impeccable, but people's like or dislike of her family probably results vary.
Okay. One nice thing about these gowns is that you bought them in Paris and you didn't take them home like a pauper. They were shipped to you. And then everybody knew you just received your authentic dress from Paris.
That's a whole event.
It is. And this was my favorite, when to wear what jewelry. You wear diamonds only in the evening, obviously. Pearls are good in the daytime. Tiaras. Specific events, everyone could wear them, like a ball.
Okay.
However, for some events, only in evening events, only people married into certain ranks could wear them.
Yeah, that's It was kind of a royal privilege for a while, and then kind of started becoming more of a fashion thing, right?
Right. And a lot of the women were making their hair pieces. They might not necessarily have been a tiara, but they looked pretty regal.
Yeah, you can style it up that way and not technically be breaking the rules.
Right. And I'm pretty sure that the Kardashian family did this. The posture, the perfect posture all the time.
Which is helped by wearing stays. Corsets are not made for bad posture.
I know. Sometimes I think I should just put not even a heavy book, just a light children's book on my head to make my posture better. If you ever
Just
call
balance
me
around the house.
at work on Teams and I'm wearing a children's book on my head, that's why.
You're quite often wearing a dog around your neck, so it's not much of a leap.
I know. When I have serious Teams calls, I will make sure my camera basically only starts at mid-neck. So I'm just kind of a bobbing head. But that way I can keep Cam down in my lap. I'm like, just sleep here. You don't need to be over my shoulder right now. I do. I have a dog still.
A
He's
dog
alive.
slash boa.
And then you also had to have a great moral and social reputation. You were never going to be caught in a scandal.
And you were going to be known to support good works, which I know I've harped on a lot, but I'm just going to reiterate. I kind of miss a billionaire class that needed to look good for moral causes.
Yeah, because even if they weren't out there scrubbing the floors, they were throwing a ton of money at it and fundraising.
Fine, have the money fight, but at least we got a library out of it, or some kids were less hungry.
Yeah, stop going to space, you morons.
You help no one.
Yeah, thank you.
Your legacy is nothing. It's
Public
dust. How do you
works.
feel?
It's the ladies. It's the ladies who are doing it because Melinda Gates, I don't know if she's still using her married last name, because it was tied into a lot of her charitable work.
Yeah.
And same with the lucky lady who escaped Jeff Bezos.
Actually doing good works.
Yeah.
It's rare, but it happens.
You need to secure a good marriage. You probably didn't have a whole lot to do with securing it, to be honest.
No, you needed to be respectable enough for it to be a probability, but your family's arranging the details.
Yeah. And maybe you're going to be marrying into a titled family. You don't know.
If your mom's hopes go right.
Then we also have, this kills me, the unwritten expectations. What?
That's still true, too.
Don't worry, this is where I'm going to wrap up. The unwritten expectations were your social climbing strategy. Whose invitation do you need to accept? Whose do you need to decline?
That's very Malfoy inspiring. Who's the right type of wizards?
Blech. Also, this is something we mentioned earlier. Managing your own rivalries. You have to be able to handle your snubs and your slights and your perceived ones without losing your temper publicly.
Your frenemy relationships are probably more complex and delicate than your actual relationships.
Exactly. And then this is a funny one considering we're watching Gilded Age right now because they've got a lot of new money coming up. But you have to conspicuously display your wealth, but not be vulgar. So
that line isn't defined.
Mrs. Astor and Mrs. Vanderbilt would have very different approaches.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this. You have to be a hardcore lady to run a house, ma'am.
It's always been the lady's job to run the household. For a medieval lady, it's about how well you can brew your beer. For a Gilded Age lady, it's how well you can serve it. And really, you're not serving beer.
Right.
But the concept holds.
Yeah, it's wild.
I hope they get a 4th season.
Oh my goodness, I know. In the meantime, like, follow, subscribe, and
have a wonderful week.
Do that. Have a great week.